Well, hell. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's me, Jack Spade, and tonight I have some more D&D. Hell yeah. So let's. Man, been a pretty good week so far. It's only Wednesday. It's only going to get better. Just remember, chat, we're all going to make it. That's what matters. Just making it at the end of the day. It's the journey, not the destination. And with that, we are going to let our gamers know that I'm about to unmute. Right, about to unmute. And then let's go ahead and do the thing. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
How we doing?
Hey, folks.
Hello.
Doing all right. I've had a great run today, and it has made me feel energized so damn much, which I really needed for this week.
Hell yeah.
Hour.
Uh,
Gotta spend energy to make energy.
exactly. Though, honestly, I'm still a bit bummed that I couldn't run as much as I used to, but slowly get back to the shape that I loved having.
I also got back into a workout routine today. It sucked. Not gonna lie, it sucked. But I showed up and I did it.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
Basically how it goes, yeah. It sucks until it doesn't, pretty much.
Until it doesn't.
Hey, like today, to give an example, today I ran only 6 kilometers, and like, uh, it feels frustrating sometimes because I know like 3 years ago, before not 3 years, Jesus Christ, but it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I would be able to run like 10 kilometers, so much more.
Oh yeah.
But like, hey, you need to start working slow to get back to what you were before, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I wish I could translate that to miles, but I have no idea what that is in American units.
I don't know freedom units either. I'm good, thanks.
I think it's like I forget the conversion. It's like
I also forget the conversion. It's something
Yeah.
that's very difficult for me to memorize.
Give me a small second
It's
for me to
7
Google.
footlongs mixed with a.
I know for weight, but I don't know.
How
Yeah.
how many hamburgers in a kilometer?
So,
How many football fields?
Oh,
So,
that has come up so much recently. The football field conversion, just like, and I don't know, is it a meme or something? Did I miss something? Did we all get a
unironically,
I haven't seen it.
the football field is used here in Brazil in some ways, but in the sense of like to give an idea of perspective. Because as soon as you get big enough, it's kind of hard for you to actually. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot. You folks call football.
Yeah, your football field is different
yeah,
than ours.
Yeah, it's slightly
Sorry,
different.
soccer fields. Soccer fields. I always forget that.
Anyway, freedom units and strange units aside, are you guys ready to play some D&D?
Hell yeah.
All
Hell
right.
yeah.
So,
I guess we can.
last session, you managed to finish clearing out the hatchery, which was filled with cultists, and they were raising or attempting to raise baby dragons in the hatchery. But luckily, you managed to step in and crush the eggs, keeping them from hatching these dragons.
Ha, step. Good one.
And then you decided to head back to Green Nest. Zazit, I imagine you followed the rest of the party simply because you're tired. And it might be a good idea to kind of rest up somewhere.
They promised that I'd talk to the fella from the Harpers.
Right.
Yeah, Lana.
Just to clarify, the party knows that Leosin will probably not be there because he did tell you that he was leaving pretty much as soon as you guys left. And if you
Yeah.
wanted to meet him again, you would have to meet him in El Terrell.
Yeah, we basically are taking a stop here to just like organize supplies and maybe get a cart
Right.
so we can move more properly instead of, going through this distance on foot. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll be fully honest, I have no idea how far away Green Nest is from El Terrell.
I think
Well, you
Apparently
enter
it's 25 feet away.
the gates of Green Nest, and Zazit. This is a nice but definitely quaint little roadside town. You've seen hundreds of these on your way to get to this place. Green Nest isn't necessarily noteworthy in any sense of the word, but it is rather quiet and comfortable and serene here. You will notice as you walk in with the group. What would you like to do?
As we pass through the gates, Theo would look at the others and say, "Okay, so, um, I would like, if everyone is alright with it, to bring this Drake here." And she looks at the captured Drake back to my grandfather's mine's farm at the edges of the town. You folks are free to sleep there for the day while we organize ourselves, but I also think we should work to get a cart and the like, so we can tomorrow start heading out the road. As it, I imagine since you aren't from here, you probably and you have some connections to the royal family. You would want to meet the mayor, correct? The governor?
Hmm. It's an interesting question.
If you want some
Would he want
information,
to?
the governor probably would have some of the details of the attack. As you can see, Green is still recovering from the previous attack that the goat did a few days ago.
W- so Zazit will think about the question for a little bit of time, and he'll probably say something along the lines of, "Whether or not I talk to this mayor, it's not gonna speed up getting to this harbor contact of yours, right?"
No, no. Like I said, if it's alright with everyone, I would like, at the very least, some moment to to try to study this Drake here. And being fully honest, Kyo looks at everyone being quite hurt and probably tired from the camp. I think a good night's rest would be really good for all of us. We all seem pretty worn out.
Yeah,
So,
I suppose I could talk to this mayor.
um, Naomi, could I ask you a favor then?
Mm-hmm.
Kyo would look to her with a small smile and pat her head gently. You know the governor Bart and I, but could you, if that's okay, if you bring Zaza to him later at some point while I
Oh, sure,
talk to him?
sure. Of course.
Thank you. I will,
Mm.
I promise I'll give you some of the best soup that I make later, alright?
Yo, you don't need to bribe me. We're friends.
I know, but I like bribing you, so I shall.
I see. That's how we're friends. That's how it's lasted so long, hasn't it? Mm.
That and I know you enjoy my hot baths. But what about you two? She looks at Dravna and Marquise. Would you two want to do
Dravna,
something here at Greenest?
Dravna actually has been carrying Mondath's body over his back this entire time from the cave. And he has not said a word about it, but at this point he's gonna finally speak up. I'm gonna do my own thing and see that Mondath here gets a proper burial.
Would I I'll be fully honest, I'm not sure how my grandfather feel about it, but if you need to, you could bury her in the farm as long as it's away from the actual plantations or the animals. Or you could try to talk to the mayor as well, the governor, to see if you allow you to use the cemetery to bury. So I'll be fully honest. I imagine the mayor wouldn't be so happy to bury someone in the cemetery that is of the cult of the dragon.
I mean, if it
Dravna,
makes you feel any better, she's already been judged. So whatever you do with her corpse is irrelevant.
Sure. I
Yep.
also have some shovel and the like on the farm if you need those too.
Dravna shakes his head. I may have misspoke then. I don't intend on burying her, especially not here in town. I'll probably find a ditch, a bush, somewhere to just toss a body and just light on fire and get it over with.
Oh, in that
I mean, we
case,
could do it right here if you want.
I
Dravna
would
pauses.
actually ask for you to not do so right here. This town has suffered a lot, and we are near the gates. If at all possible, I would prefer for the people of Greenlands not to have to suffer neither the sight nor the smell of a burning body. We, we had a lot of that already during the attack.
Don't you worry. I'll go far enough away from here.
Is there a particular direction that you guys start to head after you have this conversation?
Kyo is. I imagine that they are helping Kyo bring the Drake to her farm since she's going to study there. The being, and I think it was her and Marquise that were carrying the thing, right?
Yeah.
So for now, we're going to the farm.
Dravna was
Marquis-
gonna. Oh, before we depart, Dravna was just gonna let everyone know that once he's done with his job, he'll reconvene with everyone at Kio's farm. But he was gonna head out of the village back towards the forested area.
Okay.
And what about you, Marquise? Is there anything would like to do here at town?
No, I just need a moment to reflect and I need to catch some rest.
If I may be so bold, could I make a suggestion to you?
Sure.
Uh, I know, well, at least we don't seem to be a follower of this goddess, but the Temple of Shautia, the place where we first met, it's a quite and very nice place. If you just want to reflect, you could go there. The priest, Mr. Falcon, he's quite nice.
Um, I I think a whore would not appreciate uh if I were to visit another god's temple and reflect there, but I appreciate the gesture.
Mm, your
Hoshi,
god.
uh, sorry, go on. Go on,
No, no,
Kyo.
you go. I already spoke way too much. You go.
Um, Naomi pats you on the back, Hoshi, and then she says, "Here." She pulls out a hand mirror. Oh, that one's broken. She puts it back and pulls out another one. Oh, perfect.
Marquise is
No,
already
no, no.
looking up.
Here. Look.
He'll he'll
Clean up. It will make you feel better.
Marquise
Trust
is
me.
like looking up and he takes it and he sort of finds somewhere like something like a back pocket to shove it into and he says, "Oh, thanks, Naomi. I appreciate it."
Naomi
Gives her like
puts
a
on no airs of like smugness. You can see that she's giving you a genuine, though small and kind of like acted smile, but you can tell that she's trying to be genuine, and she just pats you on the shoulder again. You have to start somewhere, okay?
yeah. Marquise gives her a very gentle. Well, nah, maybe gentle's not the word, but it is just weak. He's quite damaged. Pat on the shoulder and he says, "Thanks, Naomi. I appreciate it."
As we begin to transfer the scene towards Dravna and his goings on, what direction do you guys head in before that?
Mhm. I imagine that right now, after we put the Drake at Kyo's farm in a safe spot, I
Okay.
imagine everyone would kind of separate for their own business, right? Kyo would stay at the farm, Marquise. If Marquise wants, he can stay at the building to relax and reflect inside of their.
So does anybody
Keep it.
not go to the
Yeah.
farm besides Dravna? Zaza, do you go somewhere else?
I
mean-
think that Naomi would lead him to the mayor ASAP,
Okay.
just so that they can much sooner get to the farm to actually rest.
All right, Marquise, do you follow Keo to the farm?
Yes.
Okay. Dravna,
Yes.
you have Mondath slung over your shoulder like a sack of potatoes. Um, she is scantily clad because you and your companions have field stripped her of all of the useful materials she had on her person, including her wear of purple's uniform.
hmm
What do you do?
He was going to travel about a kilometer away from the village to find like a big, just open area with thick grass or maybe like rocks, just somewhere where he can just put the body.
Sure. I'll say that you follow the creek around a little bit to the north, past the village, and you find a spot where there is some water nearby, but perhaps not directly in the water. It's a nice
He'll just,
rocky shore here.
without any effort or thought, he's just going to immediately let go of the weight that he's been holding on to, watching her body collapse. But he'll take the effort to at least roll her over to have her face looking up.
Okay.
And he's going to kneel down and grab a lantern that he has and start pouring some of the oil on her body.
Okay. You take an action to do that.
All right. And before he starts a fire, he's just going to stare at her and very similar to what Marquise is doing, he's going to reflect a little and he'll just start talking out loud to himself, throwing his words over at Mondath. You know, I thought I'd be a lot happier with you being gone. I thought I'd feel satisfaction, comfort. No, he begins to just slowly clench his fist. I don't know what I'm feeling right now. I'm angrier than ever. The voices that are in my head, crying for justice, crying for vengeance, they're not quelled. I bet you're happy with where you are right now. You should be burning the hells by now. But oh, you always get the last laugh, don't you? Dravna will let out a small sigh looking up at the sky. I spent so many years trying to find you. And yet, you escaped through my fingers again. Maybe this is just another judgment by the gods towards me. But, I can still hear you laughing. Gods. And he's finally just gonna look at her one last time. I bet you're rolling in the grave, aren't you? Can't I just let go? He's finally just gonna pull. He's gonna pull out his sword.
As you do, you will see that the blade begins to dimly shine with a hellish light. The other names beginning to light up, similar to the ways that Mondas did before she was killed, and before the names were erased. The name was erased. There is a voice, a feminine voice, but harsh, like thousands of shards of glass running through your ears, and it simply asks the question, "Would you like to see?"
Dravna will open his eyes, sweat beating down his cheeks. Yes.
You don't see it, but you feel a smile somewhere in your periphery as you are overcome with the vision of hellfire all around you. There is a constant rain of feathers all in your general vicinity, almost like snow. And you can hear the ominous flapping of wings just overhead. And if you turn to look, it seems the source seems to move right behind you. And you see far below you, in a pool of fire, is Mondath. And you see her form twisting and contorting until she becomes something unrecognizable. Make an Arcana check, please.
Sure. I do not have access to my character right now.
You should. You're on the coast map, right?
Yeah, hold on. I know my Arcana is just it's a +1, so I'll just roll a d20.
Sure.
A 7.
You don't know the creature that she transforms into, but it is a wretched, awful thing that you see in this lake of fire.
The sight and fact of knowing that she's getting her just dessert fills Dravna with a feeling of satisfaction, but a twisted satisfaction, as his smile begins to crackle and he begins to laugh a little. He's like, finally, you get your just desserts. You get your just desserts.
And you hear that feminine
That's done.
voice. You hear that feminine voice again begin to cackle in your head. And as this voice does so, the flames lick up into your vision, and you are back along the creek bed.
He's gonna look down at Mondath's body. Still holding the blade in his hand twitching, smile over his face, crackling with a maniacal grin. That's time for seconds! You get what you deserve! And he's gonna straddle himself over Mondath's body. He's gonna raise up his sword and just start hacking away, cleaving downwards again, and then again, and then again, gripping the sword with both hands, cleaving again, tearing off flesh, and just screaming, laughing, and just letting the tears, all the emotion that was just built up in him, just running out. And he's gonna do that for a good few minutes until he finally just tires himself out.
That took a dark turn. As that's happening, Keo and Marquise, you begin to approach the farm building, the main farmhouse, and you see through the windows that there is somebody inside the house.
You would narrow her eyes and look at Marquise before saying, "This is wrong. No one should be here. My grandfather is supposed to have left. And come with me. Try to be quiet for now." She motions for Marquise to put the Drake at the ground for now.
The
so he
Drake
can
is
approach.
the Drake is struggling every now and then against the binds, having woken up about an hour away from Green Nest. It's not happy.
Jamie, keep watch on the Drake. If anything happens, chirp and tell us, okay?
Uh, Jamie does the old 07 with a wing and begins to kind of hover overhead.
Right then, come with me, Marquise. Get ready. I'm not sure what this is. Maybe it's just someone from the village doing a prank. Gonna be their first time. And then she starts moving towards the door, as
Yeah, but
quiet
they
as
wouldn't
possible.
know when we get back.
Exactly.
Could be a homeless person.
Do you knock on the door or you just walk in?
She would try to see if she could just open the door to see if it's not locked.
You open the door and you see a startled looking governor. Governor Nighthill is in your farmhouse, seated at your table, seemingly awaiting somebody.
You would look at him, relax a little, and give the man a smile. Governor, why are you at my house? Something wrong?
Well, Keo, before he left, Leosin shared some things with me, and well, there's 5 horses waiting for you and your friends over in your stables, and Leosin has instructed that they're to be kept there until you return, and they should help you on your way to El Terrell. He kind of looks with the question kind of eyebrow.
That's rather lovely. Thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
that's where we're planning on going next.
mhm. We bring good tidings. We managed to defeat that cave and even destroy a few of the eggs of the dragon. Though it was rather strange. Uh,
Well, I'm glad you cleared out all the eggs in there, because having a black dragon so clear, or having a dragon, he wouldn't know what color. Having a dragon so close by is not appealing, especially not after what happened here.
I
But
actually want to.
I would not investigate that cave any further, though, Governor.
No, 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 no. We're sticking to
There,
our own business. Thank you.
yeah,
Uh,
there's something ugly there.
Also, I have slightly worrisome news in one aspect. The eggs, they weren't blue like the dragon you fought here at Greenest.
You
They
see him
were.
frown immediately.
It was of a black dragon, by the skull of the scale at the very least.
That's not good.
It is not indeed. Also, uh, there has also been slightly mismeeting. Do you happen to know about the royal family of Neverwinter? The Neverember?
I have heard of Neverwinter. I think I've heard the name Neverember before. Why?
A fighter that belongs to the house apparently is here and has offered to join us, at least for now, to help with this Code of the Dragon business. I actually sent him and Naomi to go meet you at the keep.
Well, I hate to say they're going to be wasting their time a little bit because I'm here, but I
And
guess I can make my way there. And he stands up with a grunt. You can
if you want to,
see.
I can send my bird Jamie to go fetch them to go back to here if you would like.
No, no, that's not necessary. I'll find them on my own. But thank you. And he begins to walk towards the door. And he turns and he says, I got very specific instructions, so you are headed to El Terrell fairly soon, right?
Correct. We're just going to rest for the day. At least that's the plan.
Okay, good. And you see him just kind
Before
of like blink a few times and then turns and begins to walk towards the door again.
two other things. First, don't mind the chained up Drake outside. It's fine.
The what?
Everything's under.
And he like dashes outside to look.
I just imagine Jamie's just like on the back of the Drake, standing proudly.
Yeah, you can see him like doing the whole bird thing where he's standing on the chain, just kind of like looking down at the, like giving it a side eye, and then he looks at the governor and immediately like gets up into the air and just kind of like chirps in his direction.
Yes. It's everything going to be under control. Don't worry, I have an idea. Um, and the second thing, I, if it's okay later, you're a smarter man than I am. Could you talk to my friends Marquis here later?
Are you asking the governor?
Yeah.
Uh, sure. He
Thank
looks
you.
to he looks to Marquise. Says, "Is everything okay?"
Uh, yeah, I'm just tired. There's there's no issue.
Okay, just make sure you rest up. I'll go talk to your friend over at the keep. And he begins to trundle his way there.
All right then. If you want to, at the evening, I'm going to make soup. You're more than welcome to come with you as well. And then
Oh,
Kyo.
I'd rather not impose, but I appreciate the invitation. He smiles warmly and begins to not hurry, but walk with purpose towards the keep.
All right then. Ermakis, let us finish this tricky business, then I'll stop bothering you. Thank you so much for helping me again. I may be strong,
Yeah,
but even me just carrying this thing by myself would be problematic.
of course, Kyo. You're welcome.
Hmm. So, you should take up on that offer. I think a talk with the governor could help you. He's a smart man, and he went through a lot already. My grandfather seems to trust him at the very least.
Yeah, I need to have a chat with my god first.
Oh, I understand very much how that is. My father, I don't think I've talked about him. He also believes in ill matter, just like myself. In the times he came visit, he would spend time tucked away with your matter at the attic. I imagine it's a quiet enough place for you to do the same with your god. But feel free to do so at anywhere else at the firm too.
Okay. I appreciate the offer. I will.
Afterwards, Kyo would move the Drake to the bar in a space away from the other enemies, but still safe.
Okay. The any like chickens or anything like that you have that see the drake immediately go ballistic and just like scatter. And likewise, you can see the drake getting excited, seeing that there are prey animals about.
Right then. This will take probably more than a few hours. Let us begin. And you would take this time to try to understand the Drake better.
All right, Marquise, do
That
you
is
stick around for this, or do you go do something else?
No, I take Kyo's offer and I head to the attic.
Okay. Marquise begins to stalk off back towards the farmhouse, his boots leaving deep tracks in the ground in that direction. As he makes his way there, we'll cut over to Naomi and Zazit. Do you guys get up to anything on your way to the keep?
So what's the over under on this guy actually being inside of his keep when we arrive?
Over under. The chance? Hmm. He's usually there. I mean, he's a bit of a busy man. Moves about. Gets his work done. Does the rounds. I trust him. But he's usually there when I need to see him. Why do you
What
ask?
do you?
To save time?
No, I was mostly making small talk.
That's fine.
You make it to the keep. The front door, for lack of a better term, is wide open, seeing as there's no imminent threat. There is still a guard presence, however. Most of the citizens who are mobilized are still in their guard uniforms. And Zazit, it's a bit impressive for a little podunk town that they have this many standing fighting men.
Do they actually look like fighting men, or do they look like farmers that have been given a sharp stick?
They look like each of them would be 3/4 equal to a regular fighting man, which is saying something.
I wonder why they need so much talented. And I say that in like, dripping.
Air quotes.
Yeah. Fighters out here. Does this place get bandited a lot?
No, I don't think so. I've been here for a while. Has it ever been bandited relatively often before?
Not on the
Jack?
scale, not on the scale of the raid that they just previously went through. Like that was something beyond that they've ever experienced or you've experienced while living here.
It's not often that we experience an attack like that here. Hmm. I suppose that they're just well informed and decently trained. They do have Kyo's grandfather here. The mayor's no slouch. Excuse me, what was our dwarf friend's name again?
Escobar.
I was close in my brain. Escobar's also quite something, if you ask me. So there's probably quite a bit of, overlapping teaching, mayor's wisdom, general knowledge from the old man, so on and so forth. It's just, who knows why? Maybe it just happened. Maybe it just fell into place that way. Besides, this place would be ash and dust for sure if we didn't have at least men this strong here. We were quite lucky to have them.
Zazit, make a history check for me, please. The name Escobar kind of tickles something in the back of your mind.
The name Escobar tickles something in my back of my mind. It's a little strange.
You have heard the moniker Escobar the Red before. It had something to do with a keep long ago, but you don't really remember much after that.
Does he have a moniker?
The red.
Oh, okay. So it is the same one then. Very interesting.
You walk
Let me
into.
guess.
What he-
Sorry, you go ahead.
Let me guess. He likes keeps.
Oh, we're doing the thing that humans like. Okay, let me try this. You could say that he keeps at it.
Ah, not bad. 7. 7 out of 10. Good.
Wood chortle again.
Now it is your turn. You must return the humor.
The problem with these games is that they just keep going if you let them. Let's go.
You walk
So
through.
that then I declare myself the winner because you have given up.
She laughs and enters.
You walk through the gates, and you make it to the center of the keep with no one really stopping you because you are with Naomi Zazit. The guards seem to recognize who she is and then don't really bother her as they seem to be busy doing other things. You look around and you don't see that there is a fire burning in the governor's courthouse, for lack of a better term, at the top of the keep. So he's likely not there.
Hmm. So unlucky. This.
Consider yourself lucky that we didn't put money on it.
True.
I will say that as you're having this conversation and kind of looking around to see if maybe he's kind of doing something else inside the keep, you will hear a rather gruff voice coming from behind you and Naomi Zanzit. As you will see a taller man with black hair and the last little bits of an injury being healed that are still slightly bloodied from a head wound wrapped around his head. These bandages. I'm messing that up. But you will see that there's a well-dressed man in a cape, and he is wearing a like a mare's symbol around his chest, around his neck. And you assumed this to be the leader of this town, as he kind of waves at you and shouts, "Well met, well met. I'm the governor here. I'm Nighthill. What can I do for you?"
Hello, Nighthill. You look well. Those wounds look rather healed.
Well, gotta do what I can. Who's your friend here? And he gestures towards Zazit.
This is Zazit. Found him in the caves. Tearing things up, if you will.
You see he very carefully eyes Zazit for a moment, and then you see him.
Please don't misunderstand. I don't live in caves. I just happen to be inside of a cave.
Right.
Where
I heard from Kyo that you're employed by a noble somewhere.
Yes. You could say the employment is the term to use there, but I am bequeathed from my lord of Never Ember.
Ah, well, perhaps we should go to my office. And he begins to ascend the steps towards the top of the keep.
Nami produces her fan and fans herself as she leisurely walks along.
Still won the bet, even if he was technically here. He wasn't here when we looked.
Okay, you won. Congratulations. You beat a bit of 5-foot board woman. in a bet.
I mean, I didn't physically touch you, if that's what you're asking or
Of
implying.
course not. Of course not, Zaza. Don't worry. We're gonna get along just fine.
Editor's note: she
Yes,
included the
I
height of
think
her
so.
clogs.
Hey! Don't tell him that. Those are
You-
Naomi's secrets.
You come up to my hilt.
How dare you? How dare you point out my flaws?
You make your way up the steps towards the top of the keep, which has a pretty fantastic view of the rest of Green Nest from the walls. And you follow Night Hill into his little courthouse. It's big enough for several rows of benches, and just before his raised table where he adjudicates things here in the town, you see that there's a burning hearth in the middle, like a oversized fire pit, which is cold at the moment. But he gestures you all in, and he sits at one of the tables with the benches.
So, are you sufficiently seated?
Yep, sure am. What can I do you for?
Excellent. So, I have been tasked with the investigation of the dragon cult by my lord Neverember, and I would ask that you hand over any information or any sort of documentation you might have on their activities, whereabouts, etc., etc.
I'm more than happy to cooperate any way that I can, but do you happen to have
Fantastic.
any proof on you that you are who you say you are?
I pull out the emblem.
He looks at it. He doesn't try to reach for anything, but he does look at it pretty closely and intently. And he says, "All right, well enough. What can I tell you?"
Anything. From the beginning, perhaps.
He looks over to Naomi and he says, "This may take a minute. Would you mind grabbing us some drinks or something?"
Oh, sure. Naomi snaps her fan shut and saunters out to go and seek out drinks. I assume that she would have to go further down into the keep to go and get to the kitchens to get that stuff.
That depends on how much you want to bother yourself. You could probably find someone who's not in a uniform, like a chambermaid or somebody, to kind of pass it off to, or you could try to look for it yourself.
Uh, is she lazy or is she? She's not lazy. She's what's the word I'm looking for?
I mean, it would take you a lot longer than the average person to get to where you're going due to your height, so you might be lazy.
I'm gonna be honest. As long as Zazit doesn't actually say that to her, there's no problem. It's fine. Um, what's there's a I'm sorry. There's a word for this. It's when someone is quick to do something or not to do something. They're flighty is what I'm
Overachieving.
thinking, but it's a different word.
Decisive.
No, not that. She's
Direct.
damn it. No.
The middle child.
They are they are quick to change their minds.
Oh, I see. Yeah, flighty is pretty good for that.
Whimsical. Whimsical.
Whimsical is pretty good. Fickle is exactly the word I was looking for. She's fickle, even to herself. So she thinks for a moment, and she says, "When was the last time I made good tea?" And then she just kind of just swoops away.
All right.
Spends
As
the
you
next 45 minutes making one cup of tea. Yeah.
Absolutely not. She's actually very good.
as you swoop away to find perhaps some tea and other refreshments, Zazit, the governor will level his gaze at you and he will energetically retell the story of how Green Nest was besieged by a horde of bandits, who he later on found out to be the horde of the cult of the dragon. Um, he will tell you of his citizens being murdered in the streets, things being burned down, he will tell you of this group of adventurers who stepped up. Two of them being born here, or rather, I'm sorry, not born here, but lived here for basically their whole lives, and two of them being seemingly strangers. And together, they repelled, or I'm sorry, they helped defend the walls, and also helped rescue some very much beloved key figures of the town, and made a name for themselves, generally being helpful and heroic.
Is there any particular reason that you suspect the Dragon Cult targeted your town?
Yeah, we saw them carrying out all of our valuables. They would break into a dwelling, they take everything that looks shiny, and then they'd start carting it off with those little kobold things.
Material gain doesn't seem like something that they would be motivated by, but perhaps it was a ruse to distract from their actual intentions.
Well, they are the cult of the dragon, aren't they? Aren't dragons greedy? Don't they hoard shiny things like gold?
They are also incredibly intelligent.
Well, you wouldn't know it judging by the kobolds.
No, kobolds are absolutely stupid. Bottom draggers. Yes. You
What
can
else?
trick them with apples.
I don't doubt it. If we had thought about it, maybe we could have tricked him with bushels of apples. Anyway, what else can I tell you, sir?
Well, unfortunately, I don't know how much more you can give me that I haven't already gotten. Do you perchance happen to have some sort of vendor or merchant that would deal with something other than farm-related goods?
There may be some resources we can share, but before we go further down that path, are you planning on traveling with Kyo and her friends to El Terrell?
That ultimately depends if the agent of the Harpers is in that town. If it is, then yes.
Yes, Mr. Leosin. He did mention that that's where he was headed. Was El Terrell.
Assume that would be our destination.
Very well then. I am authorized to provide you resources if you are indeed traveling with this group per Mr. Leosin's instructions. What exactly are you looking for?
Some sort of mall, perhaps?
Easily done. What else?
Traveling goods, etc. I have a very light pack. My intentions within the cave where that party found me was a little different from what they are now.
Makes
I'm not
sense.
exactly equipped for road travel, as it were.
Above game. Whatever basic goods you want, he will be able to supply, and I'll just add it to your character sheet, whatever that may be.
Great. I will take 10,000 ball bearings, please.
A bag of ball bearings.
I would take 20 10-foot poles, a mule, several horses.
Let's see.
Don't forget the +3 weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, +3 weapon.
That's not basic.
Maybe... How about a 10,000 gold spyglass?
Nope. That's not basic either.
Dang.
I gave you ball bearings, though. Or were you not serious about that?
I mean, I'll take the ball bearings.
Okay.
I can always use ball bearings.
And did you want a 10-foot pole as well?
Is it collapsible?
No.
Probably not, right? Then no.
Okay.
I will take a some sort of. Actually, let me find the actual item in the thing here. Equipment, weapons. So I need something blunt. Bludgeoning. So there's the maul that's two-handed. That's not what I want.
Warhammer. Is what you want.
Warhammer's a
Warhammer.
one-hander.
Yeah,
Yes.
Warhammer is one-handed. Deals. It's basically the
1d8. Yeah,
long
it's a
sword
long
of
sword
hammers.
but blunt. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll take that one.
Warhammer.
Yeah.
Warhammer. Boop. Okay.
Let me just. If you guys want to do a thing, I'll look at the other adventuring gear table, see if there's anything in there. Oh, what about lanterns and shit? I'll grab one of those.
A lantern. Sure.
If he's, yeah, lantern maybe.
Lantern good. Yep.
If he's got like a bullseye lantern, that'd be awesome. But,
Yep. Bullseye lantern added.
and a couple things of oil flasks. And let's see. I think I have the rope still and all that. So, and I have the bedroll and shit, right? I assume I
Yes,
do.
it's part of your
Yeah.
backpack.
Oh yeah. Okay. What else we got in here? Let's see. What about some alchemist fire? Is he willing to give
Nope.
up a couple?
Doesn't
of
have alchemist fire.
What about health potions or anything like that?
Nope. Not basic.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I will take a shovel then.
Shovel. For when the party gets out of line. I understand.
Yeah. You know, if it's gonna go meet a friend in the forest and help him dispose of 1,000 pieces of puzzle corpse. So, you know.
Okay, Andrew.
Thumbs up.
You never know.
Yeah, I think that'll do. Unless you want to give me fishing tackle and stuff like that too.
I don't know if I have that already. Let me see.
Fishing.
Oh, I do. Look at that.
Great day for fishing, isn't it?
Sure do.
Yeah. All right, that'll be enough for me.
Okay.
I think I've grabbed enough from him. So.
Anybody else would like to add any basic equipment to their sheets?
It's not basic equipment, but I love to add rations because for some mysterious and magical reasons, I can't think why Kyo always ends up using all of her rations. I don't
Gee,
know.
I wonder why.
Right?
I will say that each of you could gain 2 rations through Governor Nighthill if you would like.
I take the
Sounds
shit.
great.
Sure.
Sure, I'll take one.
All right.
That's why I grabbed the fishing pole, ladies and gents.
2 rations.
Hmm.
Actually, you know what? Here, I'm just gonna do this. There are going to be 8 rations in this item pile. Just go ahead and grab from that. Just double click it, and you should be able to take from it. Can you all see that item pile there?
I'm
Oh,
too
yeah.
far away.
Produced by Marquise.
Keo, I
I
already
just,
added yours, Keo.
Thank you.
I added mine to my list already, so I don't need to click.
Okay.
mine.
I'll take 2 then. There we go. It's a neat feature.
Yo, bag of bread.
I need to start moving stuff over from D&D Beyond.
Subtract 2 of those, please. I saw that. Trying to be sneaky over
Is
there.
that? I wasn't trying to be sneaky. I thought everyone was done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're
I'm
only
just
supposed to
taking the
get 2
leftover,
each.
but- Oh, that's right. I'm stupid.
Oh, good.
There you go. Subtract 2.
All right. So We will say, Zaza, did you have any other business with the governor, or is that pretty much it?
Maybe I'll put in some sort of like official monster report for what we found in the cave there
Okay. Yeah,
to him.
he gladly accepts any information you give about what you saw in the cave. After he hears about the roper, his eyes go wide, and he says, "Well, if yeah, we're pretty much going to forbid that place now."
Mm-hmm. Yes. So that information normally comes at a cost, but because you've been willing with your supplies, consider it equal trade.
Thank you
My
kindly.
suggestion would be to hire passing mercenaries or something along those lines, just to make sure that that cave is blocked off to a degree, perhaps. Otherwise, you will never get humans back if they go in there.
That's a good idea. I might commission some of the woodworkers around here to block that off and paint a no entry sign or something on it.
I would take it a step further and actually demolish the entrance to that cave.
Baby steps. As they say,
That would be the
Waterdeep wasn't
baby
built in a
steps.
day.
Marquise shudders.
I'm not even sure how that would actually be possible. Like, why would that even be a point of conversation?
I don't know. It's just something people say. Anyway,
I have never heard people say that.
as the governor was kind of equipping Zazit for stuff, Naomi, do you happen to bring anything back, or do you just like fuck off and do something else?
No, she brings what she decides to do is she hops her way back up into the office while they're gearing up and yapping. And then she just says, "Oh, looks like you're about done. Well, here you are, Nighthill. Have some tea." And she like gives him a pot. She just drops a pot off, gets a little coaster out, gets him a little glass, pours him a cup, and then she has clearly another pot in her hand. "I'm stealing this," and then she goes, "We're ready to go whenever we're ready to go."
Well, thank you very much, Naomi. I was just regaling Zazit here with a few of your exploits, helping the town during the raid. He takes a sip of tea.
I don't imagine he was terribly impressed. He just seems so above everything. It's a little irritating, but it's fascinating. I don't mind it too much. It's just, just doesn't seem like he's interested in, you know, random villagers, tearing apart some kobolds and such.
Oh,
This
don't get me
shiny
wrong.
armor and sword and such.
The tale of you defeating kobolds is, yeah. I'm trying this sarcasm thing. It's very difficult.
Yeah, you're terrible. And actually, your failure at the sarcasm is a little bit more insulting than if you were just sarcastic. I don't mind,
Well,
once again. It's
yeah,
fine. You're
it's
learning.
a matter of effort. I'm not putting in a lot. I will say that.
It's arguably worse, but fine.
You get like a very slow sort of blink from Zazit.
And she blinks in response a couple of times in your general direction with an eyebrow raised and a hand on her hip while she's holding the tea kettle, and she just goes,
"Oh, I've heard of this. This is the significant PC glance, right?"
"That's right."
Mm-hmm.
By the way, what kind of dragonborn are you?
What do you mean, kind?
Different kinds of dragonborn breathe different breath.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you breathe?
Okay, let me return the question to you to see how you feel about it being when it's directed at you. What flavor of human are you?
What flavor of human?
Nasty kind.
Slightly false kind.
Cinnamon.
So I'm not quite a human.
See.
She takes absolutely no stock in what you just said. She knows what you're saying, but her question completely comes naturally. Like, she just wants to know what your scales mean, because your scales mean something. The dragon that attacked this place at the keep was blue. It fired off lightning. Very painful. I took one directly to the face. And I'm immaculate as ever, as you can see.
I didn't
But
know what you looked like before the attack, so I can't judge you on that.
I was gorgeous back then, and I'm more gorgeous now.
So, being scarred has increased your attractiveness in your eyes?
The only thing that's scarring me is your lack of understanding of what I'm saying. So anyway, what kind of breath do you breathe?
Oxygen, mostly.
Energy. All right, so he's a copper dragonborn, right?
Yes.
Yes.
She like shakes the still very hot pot a little bit. This won't work. It won't do anything. Ready to go.
Anyway, you
I think
gather
that's-
yourselves.
1 second.
You excuse yourselves from Governor Nighthill's chamber and begin to head in a direction which is. Where do you two head off to next?
Naomi is more or less going straight to Kyo's place at the farm.
Okay.
If you need a chaperone for any other errands you might want to run in town, I'll help you. But I'd like to drop off the tea first, at least.
Zazet, is there anything else you're curious about the town, or would you head to the farmhouse?
He'll be back in a moment. He
Oh,
lost some
I
audio,
see.
it looks like.
Oh, okay. I didn't see the message. Oh, okay. All right. Let's just assume that he's following Kyo for the moment, and we're just gonna hop briefly
Naomi
back
for the moment.
over to Dravna. Dravna, you are sweaty. You are your boots are covered in blood, as you have effectively minced this corpse at your feet. The blood beginning to flow into the waters of the creek. What do you do next?
Dravna will recollect himself, and the idea of lighting this body on fire has kind of diminished in his mind. And just looking at the corpse of blood everywhere, he's just gonna wash off the blood inside the creek as best he can, grab his belongings, and just trudge back towards the village without saying a word.
Okay.
He's just gonna leave Manda's body in a by a creek, unmarked location, and that's the end of that. He doesn't need anything else.
The camera pans over to Dravna, straightening his clothes, washing the blood off of his boots for a moment, perhaps cleaning his sword on the grass, sheathing it, and beginning to stalk away. And Dravna's figure kind of blurs in the background as the focus remains on the feet of Mondath, which are the only part that's really untouched for the most part. And we just see the blood pooling away from the body and into the water, mixing and mixing. And then we snap back over to the farmhouse.
Sorry about that. I missed the whole end of that conversation. I apologize.
Oh, good. Did you follow Naomi back to the farmhouse, or do you want to do something else in town?
I mean, I probably would have, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. We'll say some time passes, and you all rejoin back at the farmhouse together.
Oh, I would
Oh,
like.
I forgot. You're in the attic. I totally forgot. Thank you for reminding me. Sorry about that.
Yes, of course.
Marquise, you walk into the farmhouse alone. It's quiet. There's not even the sound of crackling fire because Kyo hasn't gotten to dinner yet. And you begin to trudge up the stone steps that lead up into the attic. You see that there is a small altar shrine area that's kind of sectioned off from the rest of the materials and other kinds of goods just kind of kept up here for who knows how long. What do you do?
Um, Marquise kind of stumbling up the footsteps, quite damaged, quite embarrassed. Um, kind of falls pathetically before the shrine. Um, he's mumbling something to himself. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. It's all your and he flashes back to God, how do I forget the PC I created's name? Or is it an NPC? Orish. Um, he flashes back to Orish. Marquise then at 12 years old, very very short, very stout compared to his stature now. Um, quite depressed looking up at this huge half half orc. Oh, sorry, Orin is the NPC's name.
Right.
Half orc, and Orin kneels down to him and says, "So, it seems your parents, your sister, your brother are all but a memory now, and while only you know what happened, I can tell you one truth." That this was all your fault. That if you were a little bit stronger, if you were just a little bit taller, a little bit more skilled, you could have kept them all alive. So, what are you going to do now? Are you going to go back to your little cozy life in Waterdeep with your aunt and uncle? Or are you going to learn, take on your family's, if you call that business, or young man, are you going to come with me? Are you going to learn the ways of the polearm? Are you going to be strong enough to redeem yourself for your shortcomings? And then we cut back to Marquise, still in the attic, on his knees, now sort of weakly punching the ground, chanting back to himself, "It's all your fault. It's all your fault."
As Marquise
And
is doing this in this ritualistic manner, what is Marquise's deepest wish in this moment?
Marquise feeling still entirely inadequate, um, looks up to the altar. He's he's now tears streaming down his face, a little bit of smoke running from the corners of his lips. He's he cries and says, "Whore, why Why would you start me on this path when I'm still too weak to muster up the strength to deal with a pathetic dragonborn, a pathetic kobold? Why? And he punches the ground as with as much strength as he could muster, which is not much right now.
I'd like
And
you to roll a d20 for me, please.
um, I was gonna say that the pocket mirror. But do you mind if I just do
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
my own thing? Um, the pocket mirror that Naomi gave him sort of drops from his back pocket, and he looks over at it, kind of not sort of intentionally, just because it surprised him, and his face now parallel with it. He starts coughing up clouds and clouds of smoke, and he looks down at the mirror as what's looking back at him is not himself, but a red dragon with a scar very similar to his. And he screams in terror, clawing at his eyes. And finally, when the smoke clears, he's looking at himself, but, well, it's not quite himself, as he's taken on partially dragonic features, his teeth slightly sharper, his fingers tipped with red scales, his collarbone and neck covered in red scales, and his eyes even redder than before with red scales lining them. And he's and his scream turns to a breath, a fiery breath, almost starting a flame before he passes out over the pocket mirror, unconscious in the attic.
And what is Marquise's deepest wish as he falls unconscious?
The strength to redeem himself, the strength to kill the red dragon.
Just roll a d20 for me, please.
Okay. Uh,
Okay, noted. You fall unconscious. Kyo, you are in the barn with the doors closed, standing over this guard drake that is chained up and thrashing like a wild beast, its eyes wide and looking up at you, its mouth kind of slobbering in anticipation of the meal that it could have. What do you do?
Yeah, first thing she would do is make sure to clear the space away from the animals. She even using her once per day speak of animals that she can cast for free to make sure that the farm animals around her understand any order she gives them and tell them to keep away from the drake while she handles things.
They eagerly step away and move to places you designate to be safe.
And now with proper space moving, she would try to study the drake using a mix of the food she has right with her rations and the like, as well as the whistle and the bell she had gotten from the kobolds before, to see if she could, if not, try to gain some new knowledges from this Drake. At the very least, try to see if she could make it maybe friendly towards her commands or the like, having Jamie always at her side, just in case of something of an emergency.
Do you unbind the Drake during this process?
Um, she would eventually, but not right away. She would first give it food and wait for it to calm down a little.
Okay. It rolls over onto its side, greedily snaps up the rations that you give it, or any food that you might have in stock around the farm. What would you do in order to analyze this creature?
She remembers how the creature reacted to sound before at the caves, so she would try to first see if she could give commands through sound as well as in Draconic as well.
What do you say?
That's should begin with something simple, like wait. She would offer food, but then wait to see if it would wait before doing so.
Make an animal handling check with advantage.
All right then, 1 second. Here we go. That is well,
A
thank God for the advantage.
12. With a 12, you will see that the Drake seems to be somewhat more docile. Do you allow it to walk without the chains?
Mm, she would, but only but still telling the animals to like be careful and position herself to stand in a position between it and the animals area.
I'm
So it
assuming you
doesn't
set up like a pin situation. It's kind of like pinned
Yeah,
in, so it can't like immediately get to anything.
yeah, exactly. But still a Drake, you know.
Yeah. Sure.
So she doesn't want to risk it,
Sure.
but she would after it obeyed the first command.
Okay. It seems to want to follow your commands, so you undo the chains.
Yes, she would after it seems to follow our command first.
All right. It is no longer restrained, and it appears to sit, following your commands. What do you do next?
She would continue to try to see what commands to obey. Things like attack, for example, after putting a barrel in front of it, an empty barrel, and so on. Attack, wait, lay down, and such. If
Okay.
every time it's obeyed the command, she would give it a bit of extra food.
Got it. In that case, make another animal handling check with advantage.
All right then. Uh, 13. Thank God for advantage
Yeah, I
again.
was about to say. With a 13, it's somewhat successful. There are moments where the guard Drake doesn't seem to listen to you, but Jamie kind of helps you out sometimes and kind of like smacks it a few times with his talons, which kind of puts it back into line. And you can see that it's food motivated, but it's much more motivated by pain and
See.
avoiding it. And Jamie
Okay.
seems
Oh,
to
I'm glad
instinctually
you
understand.
said avoided it, because that's a different type of animal to breed there.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I like the pause before you said and avoiding pain as opposed to receiving pain, because that's a
Right.
different type of animal
Yeah.
altogether.
Good point. Um, so Jamie being a source of a threatening source for pain, it seems to be a bit more easily cowed into doing what you want. And Jamie seems to instinctually understand this, and he's acting as like a prehensile whip, acting of his own accord for you. What do you try next?
After seeing some progress, Kia would try to very calmly wrap a chain on its body, but not in the sense to restrain it,
Hmm.
but like kind of like a body leash.
Okay.
And after this, she would try to guide it to outside to see if she could make it obey more complex commands.
Sure.
Mm.
You make like a chain harness and you begin to lead it outside. As soon as the barn doors open, you can see that it begins to try and take off. Make a animal handling check, please.
Could it be athletics because she's holding the chain, or should it be animal handling?
You're trying to make the animal do something specific, so no.
Okay, advantage or no advantage?
This time will be without advantage.
All right then. Yes.
Okay. With a crit, you are able to get this creature to heal immediately, and it stops until you catch up with the chain, and you are standing beside it.
She would kneel next to it, gently touching it while giving food. Good. Goodbye. Obey. And as she does so, she would also try to, just like how Jamie had, she would try to imbue some of her ranger slash druidic energies into it through the use of cure wounds as she touches it. The shield should have an effect just like Jamie has in its runes.
When you start to channel magic into interacting this creature, Jamie begins to act a bit strangely, and he perches on top of the guard drake's head. And then he stares deep into your eyes, and there is a single question, a single word question. You just hear the word take.
Kyo looks confused at the Drake and Jamie, but she does ask her bird, like, would this hurt the Drake?
You there is a feeling of an affirmative, but it seems like the feeling of affirmation is mixed with a sort of glee, but also disappointment.
Would it be possible to share and not just full take? To keep it both?
There is a negative response that you get from Jamie.
She looks at it. She sees how the Drake seems to be handling things well, and she shakes her head. No, sorry. Can't you? Hmm. Jamie, could you copy the form without copying it? Becoming it?
Jamie stops for a moment, looks down at the drake, not hurting it, but pecks at its forehead a few times. And then you get another negatory response. No, that will not be possible.
Then I guess
And
for
then the
now,
question comes back, take?
she shakes her head. No, it's a showing signs to be understanding well and be a good nun. So there's no need to hurt it like that. And Kyo would continue trying to tame the creature and understand more of it. And she does so instead of fully taking the creature.
Just so that you are aware, if you continue to tame the guard drake in this way, you will not gain the creature of the land. You will just have a guard drake pet.
I know.
Okay.
I understand.
All right.
Have
Understood.
Right later.
Okay. It seems that the guard drake is currently under control. Pending certain things that may happen in combat, all you have to do is just spend your bonus action to command the guard drake on your turn, and it will act immediately after that.
You would like to teach it one specific command, though, if that's
What's
okay
that?
with you. Using another tongue, she would use giant for this one. Tongue her mother taught her. She would try to basically teach it to obey stop in this tongue as well,
Ooh.
and have it and try to make it so it stops in giant, but not in draconic.
Make a animal handling check.
All right, done. 16.
With a 16, you do not succeed, but the groundwork is there.
All right, then. She looks at it and gently pats it. All right. Hopefully, I can get you to learn this soon enough to be useful in the future. For now, though, satisfied with what has happened, she puts it back in the barn. Or not at the barn. She puts it like a dog outside the
Okay.
farm.
Do you
But
put it on a chain on a tree or something like that, or
yeah, chain on the tree on one of the fences, but
okay,
like she gives it extra space so it can move around and everything.
okay, easily done.
Just not go into the town nor the farm barn.
All right. Do you go back to the farmhouse after you're done?
Yeah, she would go back and start making the food she promised for everyone afterwards.
After you're about 15 to 20 minutes into dinner, you will hear the door open as Dravna walks back into the farmhouse with Naomi and Zazit not far behind.
Here we just say from the kitchen, imagine some of the others. Welcome, welcome. Still finishing the cooking. Marquis is busy still on the attic. He's meditating, if I'm not mistaken. So, if possible, give him some time. I'm not sure if it's finished or the like. He was very tired. She continues back to cooking.
All
How
right.
furnished is this house?
It's comfortably furnished. None of the
Okay, so
none of the
it's not like okay, yeah, I get you.
none of the
I was
furniture
imagining like a
is
barn or something.
no, it's a farmhouse. It's furnished for, creature comforts. None of it's like lavishly decorated or anything like that, but it's all well made, sturdy stuff.
Okay, so yeah, fair enough. So Zaza will probably just sit somewhere, wherever is comfortable with a tail, and just kind of, you know, I guess rest because he's, hasn't taken a load off since I don't know joining the dragon cult. I guess right. So
Right.
yeah,
It's been kind of hard to relax.
yeah, especially pretending to be something you're not for
Mhm.
constantly. Yeah.
And Naomi just glides into the kitchen and just she pours out a cup for Keo, and then she glides out of the kitchen with other cups, finds a coffee table or the main table in the living room area, I suppose. Pours everyone out a cup, except for Marquise because he's not down here yet, and she wants to keep the tea warm.
Just as a point of order, the three of you approaching the farmhouse would have seen the guard Drake chained up and kind of moving about freely.
Oh, it also to have a little bowl with a little bit of extra food.
Of course it does.
That's
Dravna would mentally not be surprised that Keo would want to have this thing be a pet, but he'd bear no mind to it. Once he enters the house with everyone else, he'll find a nice quiet corner, start donning off his armor, but then he'll reapproach everyone and just sit down at a table and just calmly collect his thoughts, just breathing, looking at the ceiling.
As you all begin to settle in, the smell of food being prepared wafts up and up into the ceiling. And Marquise, you come too, and you smell a delicious meal being cooked down below.
Marquise kind of not really saying not remembering the last few moments before he passed out, but more so it being a haze with the hand mirror underneath him completely shattered.
It is not.
You'll... Well, I fell onto it, but
It is not shattered.
okay.
You
Well,
did fall,
he said,
and you did wake up on your stomach, but the hand mirror is actually still intact.
interesting. Well, he'll sort of pick it up, kind of, well, without trying to meet eyes with it, because he's still afraid of how, well, doesn't necessarily like mirrors, and will stuff in his back pocket and head downstairs.
All right.
Hung-
Do you head downstairs or?
Yeah.
Okay. You all hear the steps beginning to groan as Marquise rejoins the party.
Once everyone is there, imagine Kyo would finish the food, right? And then she'll start serving people on the main table. When everyone is gathered, she'll look at the people present and say, "Feel free to eat as much as you wish. If needed, I can always make more. I have good news, though. Two actually good news for all of you.
Lay it on the table.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is that Governor Knightshield was kind to us and offered 5 horses for our travels. So we should be able to go much faster towards El Dorado. The second one is that I actually managed to, I would say, roughly adapt and tame a little bit little Bobby there.
Bobby. Interesting.
His name is Bobby.
Yes,
Is that
B
is
O
that the little
B
creature's
C
name?
Y. Yes, it is. It's quite nice.
Did you name the coming down the stairs? Marquise says, "Oh, did you name the little fella after me?"
Yes, indeed. In some ways, he does
With
remind you.
his appearance just coming into frame.
Yeah, he does remind me a little of you, Mark, in some way. Both can be a bit grumpy at times.
Where did you get those scales?
What skills?
Use the
Uh,
mirror, Marquis.
Were you inspired by the dragon cult there, Marquise?
What? What?
Oh,
Listen,
Dravna
you never.
groans while saying it, but he says, "Were you inspired by the dragon cult there, Marquise?" And he's just pointing at his
Uh,
chest.
what? What?
Never ask a dragonborn about his scales, okay? Just
Uh,
don't do it.
Is
Well,
that a thing?
I'm no
I'll keep that in mind.
dragonborn. And Marquise kind of
Come now,
looks.
brother. You can't confuse me. It's fine. I understand.
And Marquise kind of looking down at maybe to figure out what someone's talking about, sees his hands and freezes and falls down the stairs.
Marquise,
That-
So Zazet would take a sip of the soup and go, yeah, good soup.
Yeah.
He would rush towards Marquise the same moment I fell the stairs.
Naomi whips out her fan, opens it up, and covers her like nose and mouth as she just kind of looks down at Marquise and asks, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, I must be dreaming. It's I must be dreaming. It's and he's rubbing his eyes and he's feeling for the first time scales meet scales and he and then he pulls his hands away
Dravna will
and
push
he's
himself
just
out.
sitting there.
Dravna will push himself out of the table and begin walking towards Marquise, kind of pushing Naomi and Kyo aside, and he'll like Marquise, you'll feel Dravna's arm wrap around you, and Dravna will just kneel down. Hey, just take it in slowly, okay? If it means anything, I felt something very similar today. Just take it in. Slow, deep breaths.
Marquise breathes in and out and well, I'm just gonna do this real quick. See how he takes it. And it's not gonna really say anything. It's not gonna really move for a moment, and he's just gonna keep breathing in and out.
Dravna will actually like try and control his breathing as well to like match it with Marquise in unison. And every once in a while, he'll just keep saying calmly, "Focus on your breathing."
Um, Naomi, can you fix me a cup of tea?
Naomi just kind of, once again, she almost seems to glide away, and then she pours out a cup at the table and then brings a cup for him. It's not piping hot anymore, but it's still quite hot.
Marquise kind of, his head in his hands, knows what's going on. Isn't necessarily. The thought has crossed his mind once or two times, but still finding it hard to believe. Um, what's happening, and he'll just take a sip of the tea and slowly stand up and, with Drafna's assistant, head to the dinner table.
Dravna will pat his back, and he'll just mutter with a little bit of sarcastic undertone, "Hey, you're just a late bloomer, okay?"
So Zazit will put down his bowl that's finished of soup, and without even getting out of the chair, he will simply say, "The Dragon Cult is more of a political party and allegiance than it is anything else. A half dragon is only born for magical means. Becoming a half dragon does not mean you're on the same level as the Dragon Cult. That is
I
a
don't-
conscious choice that you have to make. You are not the same. As long as you don't make that choice, you can remain whoever you are, and this will not change you. But it is nice to have someone that I can empathize with to a degree. And yes, you will get used to the sound of the scales rubbing together. It actually is quite soothing after a while."
That's it. I appreciate the concern, but quite
I'm not
frankly,
concerned. I am simply stating a fact.
I appreciate the words, Zazit, but to be quite frank, I have very little care for the Dragon Cult.
Well, then it won't matter what is appearing on your skin or not. Like I said,
No, it
half dragons
definitely.
are magically born. So whatever you've gone through, it's rare, but normal. Just, I don't know, don't have any higher concerns about your place above mortals and you'll be fine.
Naomi,
Mm-hmm.
there's an odd glow coming from Marquise's person, specifically wherever he is keeping the mirror you lent him.
Naomi just kind of slips behind him, yoinks it out of his back pocket, and she immediately looks into it. Why is it
Nothing
glowing?
nothing seems to happen when you look into it.
Except that she herself is glowing. She just plays with her hair a little bit, and then she kind of twirls it. You guys know what I'm talking about. She twirls it between two fingers, and then she kind of. I know I know exactly what she's gonna do. She goes on one side of Marquise. She goes, "Marquise, how's the tea?"
It's pleasant.
What's he looking at right now?
He's looking into his bowl of soup as he's kind of swirling his spoon around, trying to get his appetite going.
All right, time for some mischief. Naomi forgoes the idea that I had of her trying to be nice, and she just goes, she wraps her arm over his neck and swings the mirror in front of him.
Wisdom save?
No, this is actually going to be Naomi make a dexterity check.
Sure.
Marquise make a dexterity check as well. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see where your reaction times are like here.
Sure. Dexterity ability check. This is going to be a total of like 10.
14 versus
Eh,
you rolled
11.
11. You
It's-
rolled privately, by the way.
Yes, I did. It's 11.
11. So, Marquise, you have the opportunity to slink away out of her grip if you would like to. Though you do
Well,
not know what she's
Marquise-
doing.
Well, Marquise is out of it, and he's not really expecting
Mhm.
To be harassed, especially because the last person to sort of touch him and caress him was okay. Well, that's a weird way to put it. Was Stravna kind of making him feel better about what's going on?
Right.
So he wouldn't expect Naomi to be doing anything, and wouldn't.
Naomi very slyly puts this compact mirror in front of your face. And as you do, you see full on what you have become in a way that you cannot deny. And then all of you will watch as if a palette of ink was being drained away from like a ink well. You will see that the effect on his skin begins to recede towards his face. And it begins to happen faster and faster until it stops at the scarring of his eye. And his single eye becomes a draconic eye that glows faintly red. And the the area around the eye becomes slightly scaled over with like a reddish kind of I guess for lack of a better term, like eyeshadow.
Oh, okay.
And the mirror glows faintly red for a moment and resumes its normal appearance.
Was watching everything happening. She was honestly more confused than anything else, to be honest. As it, she really felt it was way out of her league. So she would look at Marquise and say, Marquise, I have an idea.
Marquise kind of stunned. He's not really listening, and then punches the mirror in front of him.
Oh,
It does not break.
Does it fly out of Naomi's hands? I'm assuming.
It does. It clatters to
Okay.
the ground. As it does so, Kyo, you will notice that there is a symbol on the top of that mirror. And Naomi, you will notice that that symbol was not there before when you gave it to Marquise.
he would look confused. Marquise, what did you see at the mirror? And, there's a symbol. She would kneel down and try to take a look.
It is the
Does she recognize the
symbol
symbol?
of Illmater.
Oh.
Hmm.
You look, did you find this at the attic, Marquise? It has the symbol of Ilmater. Ilmater, sorry.
Oh no, that's my mirror.
It doesn't look
Kyo
like your
would,
mirror anymore, Naomi.
She tilts her
Sorry.
head.
Kyo would take a small step forward towards Marquise. And she would pick a slight blue herb from her backpack and eat it briefly, using this to cast Detect Magic.
This,
And look,
if you immediately cast the spell, this is now a magical item. It is considered a It's basically the same as a cleric or paladin's holy item. I forget what the term is called right now, but
Holy symbol, right?
yeah.
Marquise. She'll look at the mirror, then she'll look at Marquise. Would she notice the same sort of aura around Marquise that she sees at the mirror?
No, it's fairly different. Marquise has like a transmutation kind of field around him. This is very much a abjuration kind of magic.
Kyo would pick up the mirror, gently points at the table with some reverence, since it does have the symbol of her god, and she'd look at Marquise. Everyone will be able to see that after Kyo bite the blue herb, her eyes did go a bit blue. I just used this little plant here in my backpack that lets me notice a bit of the aura around magical things. I this mirror here really feels like something the cleric would use, like a holy amulet or a symbol of their god. And well, I just not need to say that you do also have an aura of transmutation magic, I think, from what my grandfather told me. Was correct. Did right? Naomi said you found this mirror that you gave to Marquise. Um, Marquise, did you pray to your matter? You up there in the attic?
Marquise kind of snart has been sort of snarling out Naomi, side eye and teeth baring, and he says, "No, no, I did not. It is not a symbol of my god." And Marquise will gulp down his tea. Not and place it back on the table roughly, not necessarily trying to break it, but just not entirely happy right now. And will take his soup, start walking away because he is quite not only overstimulated, but just a little is mad at Naomi and the insinuation that eel matter is someone who gave him a blessing opposed to whore.
Dravna will quickly raise his voice, almost as if he's barking at Marquise. Hey, I know you may not be happy with the results, and I know that may not be the god that you worship to. Consider yourself lucky, Marquise. Capture the attention of someone as good faith as Amata. Don't waste a blessing.
Who Mark Ravna.
He locks eyes with you.
You know I appreciate your willingness to get what's done and you know I've looked at you as a friend these past couple of days, but you do not get to lecture me. Because
he slams his hands on the table. You have no idea how lucky you are to have such a blessing laid upon you. So don't go barking at me as if I'm a hypocrite. Or that I'm ignorant. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And he's tapping his finger on the table.
No one's insinuating that you're a hypocrite, Dravna. You are. What was that back then? We're in the middle of enemy territory, and you turn into a demon? And why? Because someone killed someone you have a grievance with? You didn't even You didn't even let us know who it was. You didn't. You don't. I don't even think you knew who it was.
That's not important.
You're
And he scratches his fingernails on the table.
What do you mean that's not important? We almost died.
We will not have this conversation right now, okay?
Yeah, we will not. And Marquise keeps on walking.
No! He's gonna rush up to you. You want to know a little bit about me? Very well. I have prayed my entire life for blessings, for love, for affection, to the gods to care about me. I pray to Mistra every night and I never hear from her. All I get are dead words on my ear. You, on the other hand, you get, and he just shoves you against the wall, you get a fucking blessing.
What,
Don't
I
act
get
like a
to look
spoiled
like
brat.
my family's killer? I get to look like my big whoop. It's not. It's. And he takes a deep breath. It's. You're not the only one who's had a rough past, Dravna. My whole family got slaughtered by a red dragon. I was the last to live. You think I want to look like this? You think I consider this a blessing?
He's gonna pause and just trying to calm himself down. We all have our grievances and troubles in the past. No, I'm not trying to say your draconic skin is a blessing. That mirror, though, is a blessing to you. Don't be idiotic and consider it a waste.
My grievance is not with the mirror. I could care less about the mirror, but it was that fucking mirror that did this to me. And it's a hand. I don't know what it is. I don't care which god it came from. But it has not shown itself to be a blessing.
Regardless of. Sorry, go ahead, Saren. My apologies.
Now I wonder, which human thinks that they know when a good god, is offering a blessing or not? Just a thought.
What do you mean, Naomi?
Well, if gods are so mysterious and so difficult to contact, whenever they do something, it's obvious they generally have a specific reason for doing it. Does anyone in this room think that Ilmater would insult and attack somebody
Yes,
like that?
Roger speaking. Would Kyo, through what she had learned from her father's books and the like, ever heard of story of matter changing someone's skin or body?
You would know, based on the teachings of your father, that Ilmater is the god of suffering. He is known as the crying god, the broken god, and the lord on the rack. He notices people suffering and will often reach out to try and take up some of the burden from time to time.
Kyo would look at Marquise and Naomi and think, Mater, my god, he is the martyr god, the god of suffering in some ways. Not in the sense that he gives out, but that he takes out the burden of suffering from others. Something that his clergy also does. If this really was a blessing from Mater, it feels strange to me that it would give something that would cause suffering instead of alleviate it. Marquise, could I
Just to be
gently.
clear, it essentially the looking into the mirror essentially reversed all of the cosmetic stuff except for his eye and kind of
Okay.
accentuated it.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. That's
I see now. I understood, but
No, but the
okay. I
fact
thought it kind
Oh.
of made me
the fact that you
made my
actually
eye
kind of thought that the mirror had done it to you to begin with, I was like, that kind of makes sense. That's actually kind of a way to think of it as well. Like maybe it's also a
Mhm.
curse at the same time. But what you saw in the dining room was that the effect was reversed after looking into the mirror, except for the eye thing.
Yeah. Kia would approach the mirror and the Slugmakis. I can't speak that I know of your god. Har, that's the name of it, correct?
yeah.
I do not know which deity or other being affected you to look like this. But I can assure of one thing, and one thing only. And she has the mirror in her hand and she extends it gently to Marquise. And I will never force anything, just like my god wouldn't do so. But I can assure you that your mater will never bring you pain. And because of this holy symbol on this mirror, I can assure you that this mirror here also won't bring you this pain. I know you felt scared, but remember, when you look at the mirror, you looked more closely back to what you were before. So maybe that's what's happening.
As Kyo holds out the mirror to you, Marquise, closed, you see that it kind of hums at a frequency you can hear, as if asking for you to pick it up again.
Marquise sort of begrudgingly will, but before he does, he says, I care little of what I look like or what I've done or what others do to me. I just, I don't
You are,
know. I wanted a blessing from horror instead. I mean, that's all I've been taught.
you know,
But
she says with a small smile. Your mater sometimes can work as someone that delivers blessing from others to people too. He's a very present god, different from others. So maybe it's both. Maybe the mirror is just not from one. And
mm,
maybe there's more that we don't know. The gods' acts can be rather complicated. Even my father, who was a cleric, struggled a bit after understanding his notes. So for now, just deep breaths and look at the mirror. It's is zapping. It's buzzing on my hand, and from the way I can look with the herb and the magical sight it gave me, it feels strange, like it wants you to see it.
he's kind of dutifully nods, appreciating the fact that this may have, in some way or another, been horror's answer, and will yet again pick up the mirror.
Do you open it? Did you hear me?
I think my Wi-Fi might be um
I
a
messing
bit
I
up. I
twisty.
can't.
I asked if you opened it.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, we can
We
hear
hear
you.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do open it.
When you open it and stare at the reflection in the mirror, you will see as you are now, with your one eye slightly more draconic than the rest of your body, and then you will all see as rapidly as it had receded, it all comes back. The scaly skin, the scaly hands, and the sharpened teeth. all resume their form from before.
Oh, do it again.
Seems that whenever you look at the mirror, you change between forms.
You look at the mirror again.
Hey,
What'd you say?
I think I need to stay like this for a while. I understand E-Matter wants to alleviate my suffering, but my suffering does not come from uh looking like that dragon or being like that dragon. It's from knowing that it's still alive.
Then take your time for now. If you need rest, you can take the first cast room. Just up the stairs and to the right.
I just need myself a. I've rested long enough. I just need a healthy helping of soup.
Lovely then. I did make more than enough. And then Kyo happily goes back and puts more soup serving.
Unless there's anything else you guys would like to discuss, you guys enjoy a nice hearty dinner, and then you would go to bed. Before you do so, I would recommend above the table to kind of review the map, just so that you can kind of understand where you are and where you're going and what information you have gathered so far.
Kyo would say one last thing to the group, by the way, because she would want to have this already done. I imagine it would be very easy for us to get the map of the local area, right?
Yes,
Okay.
you have the map
Uh,
as you see it in Foundry.
Also, would a cart be hard to get? A cart?
There isn't a spare one in the village currently.
Would there be a spare one in Kyo's farm?
No.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Kyo would look at the group and say, okay. So, with the map on the table after everyone ate, we are going to Elturel, and we have two options as you can see in the map. We can go through the roads, or we can try to cut through the wilds. Would I know anything about this area here, Jam, from my time in Green Nest?
You've heard stories. You know that El Terrell is considered the capital of the area, or the general, like, not fief. Well, I guess fiefdom of the area. So that basically includes the Trinella Hills, Scornabel. Actually, that's not true. It actually just kind of covers part of the Chiantha River, this section of the road, and Triel, and a little bit of the southern area. It's a pretty good chunk of land,
Um,
known for its good growing and all that kind of stuff. But what's special about El Terrell is that it has a duty of guarding what is essentially what was a gateway to hell.
oh,
Um, and the way that it keeps these things in check is that there is a beacon over the city that shines like a distant star, and it's considered a holy relic that sits above this city.
okay. You informed everything that you just said to the group, but what about the wilds, this specific area here, this green expanse of plain? It's
As you're kind
possible to
of
harvest.
as you're kind of going over the information, I'm going to assume that you also take out the information you got from Mondas quarters as well. Is that
Of course,
correct?
yeah, correct.
You will see, and I'll just add this to the map here for you. You will
Oh,
see that all of these red X's mark villages that the cult has been to. And then you also note that there are some arrows pointing to the west.
oh.
headed to Baragost and then northward along the coastway.
Okay. He would point this out to the group and say, okay, so from the way I can see it, you have three options. There's one I favor much more, but I think it's worth everyone to go. We go through all of them. The first one is that we go to the roads. We go to the northeast, then we go north and just go direct to El Terral. The road should be safer than going to the wilds.
You would know that it would take you 6 days on horseback if you follow the roads to get to El Terrell from Green Nest.
It should take roughly 6 days if you go through this path. We could also try to cut through just the complete wilds.
You would know that that's
Similar-
not really advisable, considering that, there are monsters and other dangers.
Yeah, of course. But that would be very complicated. Still, we could try to do so, despite the danger, if you want to focus on speed above anything, even if I don't really enjoy that. The second option, and she points to the map of Dragon Coat. As you can see, that's exactly right. They're going to the west and towards Barracast. We could try to go along this path as well and try to do something to intervene. I won't deny the thought of another drag greeness does hurt me in many, many ways. I do prefer to go towards the west. But I would like to hear the thoughts of everyone.
Sorry, I must have missed it. What is in the west?
The west is the path that the dragon cult is going. We found this map in the quarters of the cult. These villages seem to represent places that are already being attacked, and this arrow seems to represent the way they're going. The
Does
cult
that match
should
up with
be
what I know, Jack?
Not 100%. You would have heard that Resmir was mobilizing. Resmir was the leader of the camp. She was mobilizing everyone to leave in order to, as quickly as possible, take the horde that had been gathered from the villages west. And now you're seeing that she's also taking it north. So you don't imagine they're doing any pillaging along the way. Seems like they're trying to keep a low profile.
And what did I estimate the numbers of the camp being?
In the hundreds.
So they wouldn't be moving it especially fast then.
No, in fact, you would have heard instructions of Resmir to like go as many different directions as possible initially. Travel in small groups.
Okay, and what have I seen about their entourage and their like equipment and stuff like that? Like, I've been with this group a little bit. I can kind of gauge their combat prowess, but like what I'm trying to do is like sort of do like a mental battle in my head as to like
how likely is it you
Nothing
overtake
to
the
do.
caravan?
not overtake the caravan, but like I guess engage in some sort of like guerrilla warfare or anything like that that would actually hinder the cult in a way that makes sense.
I mean, you can roll the dice with this group. At the very least, there'll be warm bodies between you and their crossbow bolts. And you can kind of take your chances that way. Additionally, you could also follow this group headed west at a distance to try to figure out where exactly they're taking the horde. If you want to do something like that, or you could decide to take the group to El Terrell to gather reinforcements or strength in some way to perhaps take them head on. Or whatever tactic you decide to come up with.
As much as I'd like a fight, I think they outnumber us 50 to 1.
much more than that. What we saw in the camp is still the same.
So I think our best bet, the most efficient route, at least, while still being the safest, would be to cut through the woods until we get to Burdusk, or cut through the wild until we get to Burdusk, and then take the road upwards. Maybe
There's
try to
this
get
river
some.
here, because there seems to be only one place to get across the river. At least that's
I
how it
mean,
looks to me.
You can get through.
technically,
You can get through the river on Burdusk. They had like
yeah,
bridges
you
and
can
shit in the city.
go look. Birdesk, I have done some time there, not very much, not very often, but it
I
is
meant
great
like up
fast.
here, in this river here, because El Terrell's on the other side, right?
Oh no,
So-
yeah, but what Marquis is saying, we go to Burdusk and then we follow the road throughout the route afterwards.
So you
Yeah.
guys would go through Burdusk and then follow the road here and just take it all the
Yeah.
way the rest of the way.
Yeah, so basically just to try to cut some time, I think it's the Marquis' idea. Just go towards this path here.
I think it would be the best balance of like safe and efficient.
We can't, to be quite fast. Burdusk does have some bridges, so we would be
Be-
able to cross. It'd still be dangerous, this area does have monsters. And I
Because
imagine with the village destroyed, there's probably going to be an increase of those. It's about
it seems like there's a large clump of villages on the way, even if they're pillaged. So I wouldn't imagine um
I
as
I'll,
many monsters around. Maybe some.
I'll be fully honest, Rockies. If Greenus was as badly damaged as it was from the cult, I really don't expect any of these villages to stand in any sort of way.
That's
Yeah,
true.
but do you think that monsters would flood the area that quickly after?
Maybe not necessarily monsters, but bodies are composed of meat, you know?
That's
And
true.
but again, since it's such a short, we could try to go through this way. We just have to keep our eyes open and our ears peeled. Oh, wait. This is the opposite, correct? Ears open and eyes. Regardless, um, we does it does portend a risk, but it would be faster. So I'm not fully against this. I'm not against this plan if that's what the others. Dravna, Naomi, what about and that's it. What about the rest of each tree? Any suggestions or which path? I'm still my vote is towards west. Um, Marquis' vote is towards going northeast, then Elturel. What about you three?
And
Dravna
we know
has
your
his own.
vote now, me. So there's no point.
I mean, Naomi doesn't always vote with me.
No. Yes, she does.
No, I don't.
It's kind of mean,
Like,
answer.
Then where do you
like
want to go,
here.
Naomi?
Yeah, prove us
Dravna,
wrong.
yeah,
Yeah, which
Dravna,
way are
you
you
first
going?
up.
What is it, Saren?
She asks which way Kyo suggests.
I voted for the west. So because I think to be rather valuable if you could get some information once
Prove
going
us
back.
right now, me. Prove us right.
So I'm not fully against with Marquis' idea.
Hmm.
Either. I just don't think
Nah,
that
yeah. Naomi taps her chin and like she ponders, and like she kind of leans over the map and whips out her fan and holds it in front of her mouth and just stares at it for a little bit, and then like she takes a step back and regards the group. The information is useful, but are we sure we want to ride the coattails of such a potentially large contingent? I'm not sure. Might be a bit too much of a threat for us right now.
that's fair. So what's your vote? Marquis's idea or follow the roads fully or try to cut directly to outer route?
Or, of course, an idea of your own.
Yes, or another idea.
I don't have any other non-unfeasible ideas, really, because my idea would be to just fly over the greens. And doesn't that sound ridiculous?
I
So
mean,
no, I don't necessarily have any other ideas. The best one, in my honest opinion, would be to just take the roads. It's 6 days, which I abhor. I'd rather just be there in 2 or 3. If cutting through the wilds worked out for us, then I'd appreciate that, but it's just so dangerous. The dragon called. It's just a fork of hell, really. It's literally the pitchfork of some kind of demon or something. Go to the left, it's just dragon called weirdos. Go to the center, asshole monsters. Go on the right, 6 long days. It's terrible. It's all terrible. The choices are awful. The safest one is my choice.
all right then. So that's one vote for each. Dravna, that's it. What about you two?
Well, speaking my honest opinion, I recall a few days ago when we were masquerading in the camp as cultists. I overheard that Resmir was among those. That's all I need to know. I choose to go west. And he folds his arms and leans back.
Kia would look at him and say, "You do realize that even if you go west, we're not going to attack the group directly, right? At most, we would attack solo individuals that are straying away, like scouts or so, but not a direct assault. There are way too many for us to do that."
Sorry to
I thought-
interrupt. Does anyone know the financial, um, sort of like the shopping of at Eltriel or nearby villages? Because
Would Kia know anything about breeders nor about or Eldrauz financial? Like, do they sell goods?
Burdusk is pretty close to Green Nest in size. They see a little bit more trade than Green Nest, but El Terrell is much better off in terms of trading and stuff like that. You might even see a magic
just
shop in El Terrell.
Kia would think for a bit and say,
Normal.
"Well, Burdusk is
we are getting 400 gold, which is something to take into consideration. If
right,
we
yeah.
are going to take the dragon cult head on, I just think, you know, some fresher equipment might be helpful.
You do have a
Ye-
point.
You know me, if there's an opportunity to get the cult, that's all I want. He
Does it?
he keeps his arm folded.
Does it? What about you? What's your vote?
Are you actually considering my opinion on this matter?
Of
Yeah,
course.
are we?
You're part of us.
Is he?
Yes.
He looks at him.
Yes. Yes. Kyo says in a matter of fact, like she's not going to budge. Says that you have been adopted. Yes, he is part of us.
Well, if you have to actually have my opinion on this matter, the only thing that actually matters in the grand scheme of things is if you're going to take on the cult, you need resources.
Mhm.
My entire operation is based on information that I gather and return to Neverwinter.
I imagine you would want to go to Elturel, but what path would you vote for? Crossing the wilds, crossing the roads, or Marquise's hybrid idea?
I look at the group and, I look at each person individually, and among them, I don't see a pathfinder. Like, none of them strike me as like the pathfinder type. All right. A lot of, at best we have warriors.
You would
we don't-
know that Kyo seems like she would be resourceful in a wilderness situation.
And I have some expertise in survival, you could say.
Yeah, but you don't appear.
Yeah, that's
to
right.
be
Yeah,
like-
he's just looking. Yeah.
Given that
I'm just
Kyo
looking.
has obviously been raised as a farm girl, and seems to be comfortable outdoors, you would imagine that she would be at least useful out on the road.
I do want to also add that Kyo it was the one that gave every detail to land out of the land. So like,
Yeah,
yeah, she at the very least knows the layout.
sure.
There is another thing that's worth considering. What is the ultimate agenda of this group?
Eliminate the
Because
dragon cult.
Here, here.
is that actually the agenda, or is it to
No.
fulfill other fantasies of revenge or whatever's going on with? And he gestures over to
I
Marquise.
may
yeah, Mike.
If I
Not
could whistle, I
Marquise,
would.
to oh jeez, I forget your name now. I'm sorry. Dravna?
who?
That's it.
Dravna.
Dravna.
Oh, Dravna? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
we all have
Having
a
seen what
different-
each of you have some cause. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but if you will allow me a little bit of hubris, there is an effective path forward where we can obtain significant advantage information wise. However, it will require most of you to take a back seat and allow me to do the job that I'm tasked with.
What does that mean? Explain further if you can.
When you first met me, you had no idea that I was not affiliated with the Dragon Cult.
Right?
Still lamenting.
One of the things. What was that?
Sorry, Dravna just quickly says, still lamenting on that.
The reason why I'm here, my lord has tasked me with infiltrating the Dragon Cult. I am very good at what I do. Having said that, it will be significantly harder to do that while also trying to entertain foolish notions of being able to take on an entire army with just the group of us. However, if you mean to obtain significant advantage over this group by means of obtaining information, maybe even striking at the hoard that they've stolen, the best way to do that is with infiltration. And we do have the means for it. And I do still have a big swinging stick that I can use to gain a higher echelon inside of the cult itself.
Kia would think for a bit, and for herself, she would shake her head and say, I understand your idea, and I believe it has some merit. You clearly are a very able disguiser and infiltrator, as you probably spent there a lot of time. We ourselves also have infiltrated the cult briefly ourselves for a day to rescue some of the prisoners and that were taken from Green Nest. However,
Oh, I have not seen that. I have no idea whether you've been successful or not. But
Jack, I would imagine you would have heard that, right? Or no?
I'm sorry.
I imagine that as he was infiltrated, would have heard that the prisoners that were taken all escaped. Correct?
I totally skipped over that part when I was explaining it earlier. So, part of that story that the governor told you was that some of the townspeople were kept as hostages,
Including
and
the Harper.
sorry,
Technically, including the Harper. He was
Yeah.
there of his own
Leosin.
accord to a certain degree, but
That's
he
true.
exhausted himself, is my idea.
I don't necessarily think that the governor would tell them about rescuing Leosin because he wasn't there for that. But he
Fair
would
enough.
say that this group was responsible for essentially setting the camp off by rescuing Leosin, is what you could gather from that Zazit. Is that they were responsible for Resmir freaking out and breaking down the camp.
Well,
Give it a second change. Wow.
how I see it is that, well, do you know, Zazit, do you know what the Dragon Cult's plans are traveling wherever they're traveling next? Because I don't see them, I don't see it as necessarily a priority to confront or infiltrate them now if they're not causing any harm.
Well, this is why I asked about your intentions. Because if your intentions are to actively throw yourselves onto a pyre, I could still use that as a means to gain the information that I need to gain. But
And-
if you have vastly more, if you have vastly, uh, if you have less suicidal plans, then that also benefits me as well.
So, I do want to clarify one thing. Even if you go west, the idea wouldn't be to throw ourselves into the enemy army. She says, giving a smoke glare at the driver just to be sure that you understand that.
Everyone's looking at Dravner right now.
His eyes folded.
The
Is
idea would be more for us to follow the layout and have an idea proper of where they're going to stay, as well as pick off any small group that has detached themselves from the main force. Is that
Stragglers.
exactly? It's a really big group, and if they're moving a heart of a dragon, I imagine they're moving a lot of stuff, from gold to treasures. So that would be my idea if we were to go west, just to be a bother in many ways and gain information this farm.
Well,
It is
there
risky
is
still.
one thing that we
Sorry.
haven't talked about. That is to cut directly across this forest here.
Keo,
And
you would know that that
meet
is
them
tantamount
at
to
the front.
suicide.
Yeah, would look. She would see her. That would not see Kyo's eyes going out, bulging a little. She's like, "Oh no, you wouldn't want to do that." Why would it? Do Kyo know why you wouldn't want to do that?
I don't know. The wood of sharp teeth might give it away.
Yeah,
but like,
maybe.
does she know anything specific about the wood of sharp teeth beyond being sharp teeth?
The wood of sharp teeth has been known to house all kinds of nasty creatures. One of which is what has been called the world serpent, where a giant motherfucking snake just kind of wraps itself around tree trunks to get around.
Oh,
You would
lovely.
stick her head. This forest we're talking about, it's not any normal forest. That's the wood of sharp teeth. It's a very dangerous place. Uh, it's even said that the world serpent, this gigantic serpent that wraps around trees, lives there. I don't know the exact details of the serpent and its dangers, but since every story it's told kind of different from the others, but it is very much dangerous. Everyone knows that if you want to cross through there, you're either suicidal or you're dumb. Sometimes both, in fact.
Or
Well, I
desperate.
mean, we've already established that this group is quite suicidal.
Hey, look, I'll be fully honest.
No, you established that.
I'm
Yes.
We
very
did not.
I
I
safeguard
have been
myself
known to
quite
give
well.
very good reports to my lord.
I
Mhm. Listen,
don't
I'll put
plan
it
to
like
throw
this:
my life
no
away.
one exactly. No one here is planning to throw themselves onto any pyres or any spears. If anyone's going to die, it's going to be any enemy that gets in our way, which won't be too many of them because we're not stupid.
And
We're just slightly closer to foolish than brave.
This is why I had to ask.
I think
Otherwise, I would have just assumed that you were continuing to be suicidal since you even brought up the conversation of chasing an entire army with 5 people.
No, we would at the absolute worst, we would be just picking off stragglers and following their trail, seeing what they're doing, how they move, because that's information that we don't necessarily have. Maybe you have it, Mr. Knight in Shining Scales, but we lack a little bit of that information at the very
Oh,
least.
you notice my scales are shining? I do
Yes,
spend quite a much time
it's
with
quite lovely. It's quite lovely,
Thank you.
actually. You're very welcome.
not to sway your vote with this
You see, Marquise, like
moral
you
conjury.
can shine your scales, and it does have a nice appearance after a while.
So that's
Not to sway your
definitely
vote with this moral quandary, Kyo, but also, what happens if we go west and find stragglers? There's no jail to bring them back to, and I don't want to just keep throwing this in your face, but like we also just can't tie them up and leave them in the wild and expect them to survive anyways. It's just a waste of rope.
you
I hate to
definitely
say
So-
it, but he speaks the truth.
it does bring a good point. I have to agree. Didn't even think of that. Thank you for pointing out to me.
So
It's true. I am ill-suited for that. I would change my vote to your idea, Marquiston.
above the
Well,
table,
actually, that does sound good now. Actually, now that you mention it, it would be nice to extinguish their fire of hope.
above the
As much
table,
as humanly
we
possible.
are
Above the table.
closing in on time. So just so I can prepare for next week, what direction are you guys going?
Right side.
So above the
Take it.
table, we got votes enough. I think that basically the majority, I think, is to follow Marquis' idea. Got this path through the wilds towards Burl. Is it Burlux or
Burdusk.
Burducks?
Burdusk.
Burdusk.
Sorry,
The X's.
my shitty X's
Yeah.
are all over that.
So above the table, the majority vote is to go to Burdusk.
And then crossover.
And crossover. Not even crossover. We can just follow the trail afterwards from here. Going.
You will know that the safest option will be to follow the roads for as long as possible, simply
Yeah.
because the Lord's men of every region actually tend to patrol those.
I guess.
In this case, yeah, we here just to get speed, probably cut a day or two if
Right.
possible.
Yeah, I'll say
Then
that'll cut off a
crossover.
day if you do take that path and do a
That's
little
okay.
bit of risk there. If you guys decide to stay on the path, I'm not going to roll for random encounters. So just to let y'all know above table.
So yeah, I think the idea is to follow Marquis' idea. Just go to Burdex, risk this path here, then go towards Outer through the roads afterwards.
Okay. And with that, I think we will end the session for tonight. Thank you guys for playing. Did y'all have fun?
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
Good, good,
Chaos.
good.
That I'm so thankful for.
Mm.
Thank you, Hoshi. I was waiting for someone to point that out for Kyo. Thank
So
fucking God
smart,
someone
dude.
did.
So
No,
smart.
Yeah.
no, here's the
you.
thing. Kyo, she will always want to help as many as she possibly can. And in her mind, this was the best way to do so directly. But she can be kind of blindsided by these things. I was like, please, someone point that out that she will have to kill people. If you just go to just like, please, please.
John didn't say it to dissuade her. He was happy that actually someone else wanted to go west.
All right.
To be honest, Kyo's idea if it did go as would be to just like it's a big group, so she would want to try to follow along from a distance since we do have the mobility advantage.
Yeah.
Jack,
Well,
I would say
alright,
that
go on, go on.
Thank
Zaz
you.
Go on, Jack.
Never gave up like his opinion. Like
Right.
he never voted. Everyone else just was like, yeah, let's do this now. It's like, okay.
I'm sorry.
It's
What
like-
of his other vote in the end? Sorry, I thought he voted when he
doesn't.
said that he liked the
No,
idea.
he doesn't vote at all. He doesn't
He
vote at
didn't.
all.
He didn't vote. That's the point.
He just
Yeah, and that was the entire point.
he's just
yeah.
gonna follow the
sure-
consensus.
Also, Henley, I do want to point one thing. I'm sorry, Zaz is about to be Dravenat. When the group was starting to form, Dravenat was like, no, "Oh, what do you mean you're part of the group?"
Yeah,
Well,
Jabna did not consent to any of this. As far as he knows, this guy's masquerading as a noble from Neverwinter. Ha! Everyone wears masks. This guy could be lying.
Thank you, Saren.
And with that,
Yes, sorry.
thank you for everybody who's watching. Thank you so much for watching the VOD. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and all that good stuff. And follow if you're on Twitch. And we'll see you all on the next one. See ya.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.